In the last video, we braved the wilds of Static Industry, a Minecraft modpack all about automation, and got our first home base and machines up and running. Now, let me ask you directly, dear viewer. Do you think that in this video, A, we will get netherite gear and gain powers unreachable for the average human? B, we will construct farms and machines, creating resources out of thin air? C, we will build a factory and make technological advances? Or is it D?
Answers B and C and A to some extent because we can't really craft netherite ingots as of now, and I only found it out after I gathered all the entropy.
It's D, who am I kidding? Welcome back to our lovely new home. We have a lot to get done today, so let's start. Hey, what? Our first goal for getting netherite gear was diamonds. Lots of diamonds. I'd made a hammer out of them, but then I realized those were the last ones I had. But the hammer could mine a 3x3 large area, so quite a good investment. Still, I needed to get some new, which wasn't as straightforward as you might think. In this modpack, every ore spawns inside of a large vein, and these veins, especially diamond veins, are very rare to discover. But to make your life easier, above every vein, the creators of the world placed ore samples on the surface. Therefore, if you find a sample, you know you just have to dig down. I only realized this when I hadn't found a single diamond after going through caves for an hour. At least I found a cool hammer. Its description said that on right click it would be able to create a storm rivaling the powers of gods. But it never worked. When I press right click, it only applies resistance 4, but only for maybe a second. Why can't even one thing go well? So I went searching for a diamond sample. It may surprise you, but this also took some time. During my adventures I found an abandoned house which had absolutely nothing interesting in it. But while searching on the coast I found something more interesting in the distance. A fleet of villagers with tons of chests that were filled with absolutely nothing of value. Except probably one of the best, most important items in the entire pack, the everlasting beef, which I immediately cooked into the everlasting steak. As the name might suggest, with it I could satisfy my hunger infinitely, completely removing the need for any source of food. Guess my wheat farm became even more useless than it already was. But I wasn't the only one who wanted this game-changing item. A pirate ship was hiding not far away, waiting for the right moment to strike the defenseless villagers. But I was able to prevent this by boarding their ship, killing any illager who stood in my way. I, of course, was never close to being defeated, and in the end I got on top of the situation and looted their chests. I even got a trophy for that. But I knew the villagers still wouldn't be safe out here, so I later took some of them back home with me, where they could work and be safe. Critics could say that I abducted them, trapped them into a small dirty cell, and exploited them for giving me their enchanted books, but these are details, and who cares about details? Eventually I found a diamond sample and dug down, discovering a diamond vein finally. And dear viewer, how many diamonds did you think I got from this vein? Is it A, none? B, more than 2? C, less than 2? Or is it D, 4 stacks and 37 diamonds? 3, 2, 1. And the correct answer is B, more than 2. 4 stacks and 36 diamonds to be exact. What am I even writing here? Now that I had the diamonds, I went for the second thing I needed for netherite gear, ancient debris. Surprisingly easy to find, just dig through the nether until you find a vein of anything and there will be some ancient debris in it as well. I crushed the ancient debris to scrap with machines that we'll come back to later, and then I tried making netherite ingots. And if there's anything you could remember from my last video, which you should absolutely watch right now, is that some vanilla recipes are changed in this modpack. That's also the case for netherite. And for some reason the malevolent Minecraft dailies thought they had to vividly express the emotions I felt during that realization by sending me one of their servants. Just watch the clip, I don't have anything funny to say. All of this took 5 hours. You know what? I think I need some time for myself. Go watch something different. In this video, my friends compete in a deadly course for a total of 2 million diamonds. This course has a survival chance of less than 1%. Will they be able to survive? Our next goal was actually playing the modpack and progressing through the Steam Age. But to start with that, we first had to build a place where all of our machines could go. A factory. For our home we had to gather 4,000 blocks. And if you are, 12,000 blocks. Luckily, most of them are just granite, which is pretty easy to mine with our new hammer. I even used our new, neighbors to enchant it. Thank you guys, you're great. During the resource gathering, I also found the second best item in the game, the slime sling. Aiming this sling against a block catapults you away as if you were hit by an explosion. It's amazing. After a few hours of mining and crafting, we had all the resources we needed, 4 gold chests full. Now I just had to carve out a little bit of space for the factory, and then the building process could start. Welcome dear visitors to this granite-based 19th century inspired factory. The open plan architecture allows for maximum efficiency, while the meticulously crafted ornamentation captivates every observer. More than 2,000 square blocks of available space are spread over 3 levels, making it possible to realize all your industrial dreams. There's even an 88 square block large area for all your storage needs, a cozy entrance area for your visitors, as well as a dedicated office where you can overlook the factory at all times. The 4 hollow pipe structures in the back can even be used for a multi-block or 2. If you are still interested, please contact us under this number. Now that we had the factory, we just had to move all of our items into our new storage. But because constantly looking through every chest in order to find a single item was too inefficient, we made use of the inventory connector from Tom's simple storage mod. This block connects all chests and barrels into one big network. Later this mod will become even more important, as we can also input and output items from the storage network, which is quite useful when you're operating machines. Speaking of them, let me explain you a little bit how the Steam age of this modpack works. The main goal of this stage is to obtain the basic machine hull, which would allow us to get into the next stage, the electrical age. But to get one of these hulls, we first have to reach a few different milestones, like creating cables, rubber or steel. However, for all of these things you usually need a combination of 6 basic machines. Let me introduce you to them. And the bronze furnace. He's also there. Once we had all of these machines, we could use the compressor to craft bricks, which we used to craft our first multiblock, the coke oven. Multiblock machines in this modpack usually consist out of a central block, giving you an overview of the machine, input ports for both steam, fluids or items, as well as an output. In this case, we can provide the oven with coal and steam of course, to produce coke. As a side product, the oven also makes creosote, which combined with redstone can be processed into lubricant. The coke, however, can be crushed in the macerator and, together with iron dust, mixed into uncooked steel. And the coke also allowed us to craft a large steam furnace, another multi-block that can smelt 8 items at once for the cost of 1. I first used it to smelt all sort of things, but later connected it to a setup of macerators and a mixer. These machines crush down both tin and copper and mix their products into bronze dust, which then would be smelted by the furnace into bronze ingots. And I can tell you, we will need a lot of bronze. But while I was working on crafting all these blocks, I heard strange sounds. Was it the nearby fox, which I immediately chased and said hello to? Or maybe it was the accidental mob farm I created beneath my factory because I forgot to place torches. After clearing out this mess, I produced fire clay by mixing crushed bricks and clay in order to build the next big machine, the blast furnace. Not you suck, the big one. The steam blast furnace can use the uncooked steel dust from earlier to make real steel ingots out of it. And while the uncooked steel was cooking, I knew that our bronze boiler alone wouldn't be able to power our factory any longer. So I wanted to craft a few more. To find out how many resources I needed for that, I made use of the crafting calculator. And this item probably has the most unintuitive interface known to mankind. It took me 5 minutes to even get something to work. I absolutely hate it. It's actually not that hard, I just don't like using it. In the end, I managed to craft some more boilers. Furthermore, during that crafting, our first few ingots of steel were finished, which is our first major milestone. Hooray! Having steel enabled us to craft a lot of useful stuff. 2 things were especially valuable. First, the steel upgrade. This could be applied to all of our machines, making them even faster and being able to produce new recipes. But they were quite pricey right now, so I only upgraded a few machines, like the boilers. They could now produce twice as much steam. Second were item pipes, which could move items between different machines and storage devices, which is incredibly useful. The first thing I used them for was connecting our bronze system directly to the large steam furnace. By the way, we had a lot of bronze now. 3,456 to be exact. All this, I did this thing, I crafted these items, they do this does that, kinda bores me right now. Don't you agree? Couldn't you, Mr. Script Author, structure this video more interesting? And why was there no lore yet? The last video had tons of lore.
I knew this was the only way, but I just wished for it not to be.
Stop changing the program,
It still haunts me today.
I said stop. Breaking news. Recent studies shown that liking, subscribing, commenting and sharing will increase your life quality by at least 237%. Okay, fine. I get back to work. Idiot. My next goal was to automate a lot of stuff. That's just annoying to craft. And because I never really show my crafting process, let me demonstrate you what I just meant with annoying. Let us go through the crafting required for a bronze macerator. For it you need 2 diamonds, pretty simple. Then you need copper gears. How do you craft those, you may ask? Well, you just need 4 copper plates. You can use the compressor for this, 1 copper ring and 4 bolts. For both of these, you first need to put a bronze rod, which you can craft by putting copper with lubricant inside of a cutting machine, either in another cutting machine or in another compressor. And then you have to do the same with bronze to get bronze gears, and then you need to craft 8 other bronze plates to make a bronze machine casing. Already quite a lot, but still not everything, as you also need 3 fluid pipes. They require 2 copper rotors. For them you need pretty much the same as for a copper gear, but instead of the 4 plates you need 4 copper blades, which you can craft by combining 2 copper rods and 2 copper curved plates, for which you need to put a normal plate inside of a compressor again. But that's also not everything, as you still need 6 bronze curved plates and a glass pane, and then you have your fluid pipes. Finally, all of this combined makes a single bronze macerator. And if you're already overwhelmed by this is still probably one of the easiest recipe chains in this modpack. The explanation for this is more than 250 words long. But my point is, I don't want to go through this hell every time I'm crafting anything. So we're going to automate it. For this, we use a setup I feverishly stole from the YouTuber Art. You should absolutely check him out. So, here's how this setup works. You've got a machine, say a compressor, that churns out a specific item like plates. But here's the twist. These machine extenders act like magical middlemen, letting other blocks interact with the machine without even touching it. These grey cables here connect to my storage network, and these inventory hoppers can take any item out of the network and put it into a machine. Next to them is a level emitter. This emitter gives a redstone output when there are more items in the storage than configured. In this case, I configured it to turn on when there are more than 2 stacks of bronze plates in my storage. In this case, the drawer in the back. If the emitter turns on, it disables the inventory hopper next to it, so no new bronze ingots are put into the compressor. So, every time I craft a recipe containing bronze plates, I already have some in stock, and the system will refill them. As long as I have enough bronze ingots, of course. I didn't stop there. I copied the setup for all sorts of materials, rods, rings, bolts, curved plates, and later bricks, steel dust, fire clay, and some other things we'll get to soon. And while the machines were processing, I got a bit restless and explored the surroundings of our factory. Nearby was a snowy taiga with a modded structure, an illager fortress. And you know, I was quite convinced of my fighting abilities, as I had already cleared the pirate ship, if you can recall. Anti-viewer, and this is the last time I promise, how many illagers do you think were in this fortress? Less than 5? Maybe 12? Or none? The correct answer is, I have no idea, it were way too many, they nearly killed me, and one day I nuked them for it. They really tricked me. At first it only were a few at a time, but as soon as they knew that I was there, they came from everywhere. They completely flooded me. I'm still speechless. Which you shouldn't be when recording a voiceover. Let's get back to the factory. Our next goal was generating resources. There are 3 different ways we did that. One that's pretty lame but important, a second one that's kinda cool, and a third one that feels like borderline cheating. Let's start with the boring one. It's a tree farm. This beauty works like my wheat farm, however it's actually useful, as especially the storage mod just needs tons of wood. The thing here in the middle spins, the saws cut the trees down, and the deployers replant the saplings. And here the logs funnel directly into a drawer hooked up to my storage. The second setup is more complex, but cooler. It's my first real construction chain using Create mod and our machines. First, I placed down some water wheels to generate create power. Below an automatic cobble generator, constantly dropping cobblestone, I placed crushing wheels. The first crushing wheels pulverizes cobble into gravel, and the second pair crushes the gravel into sand with a chance of also making flint and clay balls. Then, the products get split twice on this conveyor belt. First, to isolate the sand from the filthy flint and clay melange. And second, melting half of the sand into glass while turning the rest into clay blocks. These clay blocks get macerated into clay balls as well. Half of them goes into storage, the other half into a furnace to make bricks, which you can use to make bricks, brick blocks, and fire clay. Last but not least, the third setup, the overpowered one. It can produce huge amounts of ores, but it's quite pricey. I built an illegal mining setup title idea, should write it down. For this setup, we need 4 multi-blocks, all with a 3x3 base. Guess who, when designing this factory, thought of putting 4 structures in close proximity that are the perfect size to put a multi-block into it? I'm simply amazing. Downside to this placement is that we have to build the setup where no one can see it. Let me introduce you to the cable room. I think you can tell why I didn't want to show this beforehand. It's really ugly, but functional. Nevertheless, the heart of the setup is the steam quarry. Putting bronze drills into it, which are really expensive, gives it a chance to produce all of these ores. However, there's a 4% chance of a drill being used up, so you have to craft a lot of them. Different drills yield different resources too. The next step is to crush these ores twice. Why twice? If you crush an ore block once, you get raw ore. But it's not just 1 ore you're getting, it's 3. For this we use the large steam macerator, which works like the large steam furnace as it can crush 8 items at a time. Next step, mace it all again into dust. That's first and foremost a 1-to-1 ratio. However, there's a 50% chance that you can double the amount of dust you get, effectively getting 6 times as much ore as you would have got from just the quarry alone. And finally, we of course have to smelt it all down into ingots. With a second steam furnace, and after connecting all that up, we were done with our ore generation. And it works incredibly well. Whew, that was a lot. I'd really love to have a To produce rubber, we first had to create paper by mixing water and crushed wood. We also needed to make synthetic rubber fluid, which we were able to make by crushing coke dust into raw synthetic oil, blasting it into synthetic oil, and mixing it with sulfur dust, which is a byproduct of our ore setup. Both of these combined make rubber. Next step, to get cables, is to create wires with the wire mill, a new block which works the same as the other machines, so I just hooked it up to a passive crafting thing to make wires. And combining both rubber and these wires enabled us to craft LV cables. They can transfer pure energy and not just steam, as you might have guessed, and we'll start using them in the next stage. But to get there, we still had to craft the basic machine hull, which we just did. Was annoying because you needed to craft a lot of small things, but yeah. I guess that's where we're ending this episode. I hope you had a good time. Remember what I said at this timecode and goodbye! That was quite the underwhelming end. A better YouTuber would have ended the video with something more exciting like this. It just fades into nothingness, and to be honest, I'm quite disappointed.